Hello, South Africa. A very warm welcome to Expressions. This is definitely the place for you to air your views. This is a very special broadcast as we commemorate the 1976 June 16 Uprising. My name is Jacqueline Mapala.
Sinibekele sinamkele mina ngingumxolisi wakwaMasango. Njoba niyibonela ke we are coming to you straight out of the Hector Pieterson Memorial acre. Jackie, share nostalgia la sikhona where we saw ama footprints we youth of yesteryear. Mbukele lapha ekhaya umbuzo omkhulu sobuzayo namhlanje ke is the current youth that we seeing right now where Jackie of course still facing the same challenges as the youth of yesteryear as we continue to also observe Pelama social distancing. We are born.
Look at us with our masks. And of course, that's a very important question indeed. And what we're asking you as young people, Kohaya, is do we understand the significance of the 1976 uprising? But most importantly as well, is do we know the icons that sacrificed their lives so that we can have the freedom that we are enjoying today? You, Mko, had the opportunity actually to speak to some icons as well as the sister of Hector Pieterson himself, right, Mko?
Yep.
And of course, this is an insert that is prepared by our producer, Umzianda Mbendle. Take a look at this.
On the morning of June 16, 1976, thousands of students from the African township of Soweto outside Johannesburg gathered at their schools to participate in a student-organized protest demonstration. Many of them carried signs that read, "Down with Afrikaans and Bantu education." On the way, the students were met by heavily armed police. They fired tear gas and later live ammunition. The media revealing their brutality to the world and resulting in an international outcry. The day is celebrated in order to recognize the role of the youth in the liberation of South Africa from the apartheid regime. Expressions. Namhlanje we're having a conversation about kakhulu around June 1976. Lapho sabona khona ama heroes afana nawe alelwa the struggle to having the education that they wanted to have at that time. So Masbuga at that time, Masbuga the youth of 2020. What do you think the differences are?
The youth of today, it's saying they want to be given opportunity to learn, whereas with us, it was not only a question of being given opportunity to learn at that time. It was to change the whole system of education, of which we succeeded. When we marched in 1976, it was a march of young people. But along the way, elderly people joined. The water we had to make the tear gas not to be as powerful as it was. We used to get the water from elderly people. But when we look today, young people are taking matters into their hands, and that's where you sometimes, when you look at it, you find things don't go in right. When they ban schools, when they ban libraries, you know, with us, we knew who was the enemy, who was the friend.
Well, I think into shiftile kakhulu ukuthi youth yethu angazi ukuthi bona youth day leyo ukuthi bayithatha kanjani ukuthi na bafana bahlanganise imali bahambe baye ebhodini baphuze or ukuthi bakhumbule ukuthi konje sibuya kuphi. But it seems as if kubo mhlambe nathi irole lesayidlala yaba too much. There was too much on a plate, and at the end of the day kwabukeka sengathi bona basazi ukuthi bayenzeni. Meanwhile, there are problems, there are issues around them. Kwamanje thina ngaleso sikhathi teenage pregnancy, ama-drugs, gangsterism, zazikhona. Kodwa siyazile ukuthi sizinqobe kanjani. Nabo basana same problem. Futhi yona yabo iwese seseku-ede nama-blesser. They must really make sure that they know their history. So if bona they feel like fanele sihambe siyophuza ngoba youth day, that means kwayona le youth day kuba abazi ukuthi isho ukuthini. igama kodwa akubwa lena meaning. They must pick out something good from what happened or add.
We skipped the country, and then I was in exile for 20 years. So I came back in 1996. The experience of being away was very, very, very bad because we missed our families. You had to really forget everything so that you can cope in exile. Otherwise, it was very tough.
An incredibly powerful incident. But I think before we start, let's have a moment of silence in honor of the icons who sacrificed their lives for our freedom. We thank you so very much for everything that you've done for us and the freedom that we get to enjoy today. But of course, we're having a very important discussion in our makeshift studio here at the Hector Pieterson Memorial Museum. And I think to help me unpack this conversation, I'm joined by Ubani Mogatle, who is a 1976 survivor, as well as Busiso Ntuli, who is a social engineer icon. And Mr. Social Engineer, a very warm welcome to Expressions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jackie.
I think, Ntate Bani, I think let's go straight into just the poll question. I mean, we were asking on the show today, is the current youth still grappling with the same challenges that you faced as a youth in 1976? Do you feel that the sacrifices that you made were worth it?
Thank you very much, Jackie. I think the sacrifice which we made, I think they were genuine. They were genuine because we were fighting for a better education. They were genuine because we were being oppressed. We had a system which did not realize us and did not take us as human beings. And the type of education which we were fighting for at the time, we did not have any say in our languages, because they were told us that we should now start learning subjects in the language of Afrikaans. Because I think the system realized that time that the days where a black man was put in chains was dead and gone. So the only thing which they thought they were going to do now was to hold our minds in bondage. By so doing, they strip you of your culture and tradition. So they were forcing us with Afrikaans. But then we decided that enough is enough. On this day, Jackie, when I remember this evening, this time, there was euphoria, there was that wind in the air, because there was a mandate to the student that on this day they must go and write placards. And all those placards which were written away with Afrikaans, away with Bantu education. If Foster, you want us to learn language in the language of the African subject in language of Afrikaans, you must also learn Zulu in our languages. So the following morning when we marched from Morris Isaacson with a student from Naledi. As well as we're leaving, because obviously our teachers did not know, but we're singing, "Oh, Siaya, Siaya, Epitor." But as soon as we went out into the street, we started singing, "Senzenina, Senzenina." Then we started walking. And TAT had given an instruction that when we march, we're not going to have any violence, we're not going to throw any stones, it's going to be a peaceful march. And we had told the children that they should not tell our parents, because we do not want them to tell the police or anybody, because we do not want the police to stop us on our way, on our objectives. So when we're marching, we're coming towards Matsike. Myself, Mefimo Robe, and Hastings Lovu, and Titmale, who were coming at the rear guard. So as the march went into a halt, and Tsetse and Khoto went into Matika to go and collect other students, that's when now we saw police vans coming from behind. We don't know who told them, because we told the students not to tell anybody, but they caught wind. But I think the students of those days, they were listening, because if the police knew beforehand, obviously there would have been cars around, but there were no police cars at the time. So they only came across us here when we were just nearing Matsike. So when we came to a halt, we started looking back. Then myself, Hastings, Sej Maleho, and Mefi were the one now in forefront. And I don't remember seeing any loud Taylor. A policeman, what they did, they just unleashed the arrestation dog. Now, obviously, when a dog comes to you, you'll fight and we stone it and kill it. But then to the eyes of a policeman that time, a dog was better than a black man. So he fired a shot and it came and hit Haysendorf right here. Haysendorf was the very first person to be killed that day. And Hector was the first person to be taken a picture. Then pandemonium began at that time. People were screaming, people were running away, and there's a saying in Tswana which says, "Hola ha tswenyana ha o hlomole phakwe pelo."
You know, as you're relating the story and as we sit at this very iconic and memorial place, it just made me realize that this is where the present and history is literally coming together as one. But I want to find out from you, Spusiso, as you're listening to Ubaba Bani, relating to what actually happened on these very streets, as a young person living in 2020, I mean, what is your take on the role, the significance of 1976, but I think what is the role of 2020 young people in this country?
Thank you so much for the platform, and thank you so much for adding such a significance and such a unparalleled contribution to what us as young people actually have the opportunity to achieve right now. I want to say to you that it is because of people like you that young persons like myself and my sister here have the platform to actually engage with communities on public broadcasters. And I want to say your fight wasn't in vain. Yes, sometimes as young people we might not get the essence of the principle of what the action behind the protest is, but in future those definitions become clearer. And for me as a social engineer, I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm not a businessman, I'm not these social constructs that are defined right now because I choose not to. Not because somebody has told me that you are confined to this definition of existence, but because I have been raised by two parents who love me very much and who were able to come together and understand that we need to raise our child in consciousness, not in consciousness with the demarcation to say, no, I am black, so you are white, and now I cannot share a space with you because we are fighting two different fights of economic liberation or social environment or whatever management system that balances the majority of the minds that exist currently. What I say is, yes, there's pain that is burdening Africans right now, and we cannot fight Western fights, right? We need to get into the mind of understanding ourselves from ourselves and understand that self-referral is not a wrong thing, right?
So, and I know you're making such an important point. I'm going to allow you to elaborate as fully as you need to as we reflect on the importance and the significance of the 1976 uprising here in South Africa. And of course, the question that we're asking you is the current youth still grappling with the same challenges that are faced by the youth of yesteryear? That's the question that we're asking you here tonight on Expressions. Make sure you stay with us. You're watching Expressions. We'll be back right after this.
Live and direct to you, straight out of the Hector Pieterson Memorial Acre. I have to say, it's sheer nostalgia, Mundomusha, as we keep on reflecting on some of the struggles of yesterday. I've got some young people here. Abazokhulumisana Nati, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, give yourselves a round of applause. We're still observing a social distancing. Of course, this Youth Month is under different circumstances. Mbugeli, now make sure that you do interact with us in Gundlenze Tuzokumana. This is Expressions. Now, you had an important point to make about the state of education in our country. Swami, the floor is over to you.
My name is Butumelo Diale. Thank you so much for your question. In terms of education, I would like to speak to the inequality of education and maybe the differences between the youth of yesteryear and the current youth. And I'm thinking in terms of resources, what comes to mind is the availability of technology. We are technologically advanced. Before, they relied on smart boards. We now on blackboards. We now have smart boards. They write on books. We have e-books. They didn't have Zoom apps, and we now have Zoom apps as well as Microsoft Teams and the like. So for me, is that we technologically advanced.
All right, so bafethu umbuzo omkhulu namhlanje sobuza ku-expressions is ama-struggles lawa esinawo as ulusha la today, are they more or less the same as the struggles of the youth of yesteryear, Siswami?
There are some similarities because inequality is still there. Where we look at now, COVID has exposed that, for example, public schools could not continue with online lessons like private schools could. So in a sense, during the apartheid era, inequality was based on the government trying to oppress black people, but now we are seeing the different gaps and the levels that poor and rich, it's clearly visible. And COVID has just exposed that we still have issues and we still have more things to work on.
Yeah, let's speak to also solutions. I know because a few more schools also had to be shut down because a pandemic got too strong for those particular schools. What do you think needs to be done, Budwami? What conversations should we be having as Ulusha today?
Well, okay, like said, that the transition from the old generation to the new generation was actually broad, and when you look at the fact that we are actually lacking resources, that's first thing, and then the problem comes now. How do we solve that? The president actually did come up with a solution that talks about giving matriculants tablets, which at this point nothing has been done as to yet. So now the problem is, how do we solve it when the president himself always comes up with solutions where it's never been implemented? So it's really difficult that us as young people, we might say we want to step up, but we never heard. So the problem to us as young people is that we do not have a voice.
And it's very hard for us to have this conversation and not look at what's currently happening in Mzansi Africa right now with gender-based violence, the spate in cases of femicide. Siswami, I want to know from you, as a young South African, Jenges Katsamanje, how does it make you feel to be a young female in the country?
Firstly, being not only a young female, but a black female, that you look at the statistics of the femicide, not only femicide, but violence against women. It's honestly horrific. It's horrifying. It's like we ask ourselves as a question that, what has me being a woman, what have I done? Does me being a woman pose a threat to mankind? You ask, it's the same as with the Black Lives Matter, with George Floyd being killed because of he was being a black man. So you question ourselves with, what have I done being a woman? So you face yourself in a situation that being a black woman, you become a threat to society.
All right, gentlemen, do you guys agree? What conversations should we be having as abantu besilisa in the country in particular to assist in the fight against gender-based violence? Budwami?
I think into ebalulekile ukuthi if uyabona ukuthi relationship for instance yakuhlula phuma kuyo, uyabona ngesizulu kuthiwa if into ayikho right shiya phansi udle phansi bese background, yabona. That's the way of dealing with this gender-based violence issue, because kahle kahle it affects everyone, yabona. And also for helping men, if maybe we can have like seminars, yabona, to assist those who are still growing, I think that will be very helpful.
So Umandla ku Facebook uthi githi he feels ukuthi the youth don't really take the 16th of June serious given the way that they celebrate this particular day. But Budwami, what do you think? Does there need to be a shift in the way that we commemorate June 16? I know which this year, granted, we're celebrating it under different circumstances, lockdown, COVID-19. Should there be some sort of a shift in the way we observe June 16?
Correct. Thank you so much for the question. All right, so the first thing is, I would like to say that the revolution never ends. It is continuous. And us as the youth, we need to reflect back on what has been achieved for us. You know, the youth then, they had a dream for us, and I believe that we need to live up to the dream. So let's not just turn this day into a day to have a bash, you know, chill out in parks and feel that I want to have fun. But let's just remember the struggles and bloodshed for us.
Wow, and of course we will be continuing with the conversations, and of course as we pick up, Uvusi as well says that the struggles are not the same, as the youth of today is faced with many more challenges than the youth of yesteryear. Mbugeli, now we keep those comments coming with Facebook, we see them, we're going to continue having this conversation. Umasbuya, this is Expressions.
Welcome welcome back. You're still watching Expressions. We are commemorating at least the June 1976 uprising, and we're asking you, Gokhaya, what is the significance of this particular day in our history? And poll question is the current youth still grappling with the same challenges that we are faced with by the youth of yesteryear? And of course, we still have a 1976 survivor, an icon, as well as a young person. And of course, unfortunately, we're going to have to close today's show. But as young people are watching and as we're commemorating June 16 tomorrow, what would you like to say to young people?
Well, here I am sitting with an organization called the Last Ultimatum Youth Consortium, and what we focused on doing is creating an online festival. I like the fact that she said that, you know, the fact that COVID-19 came in, it was a pandemic. Some of us took the opportunity to seize the moment and create more economic opportunities for others. I've taken all the money that I've created from the profits of COVID-19 and I've pumped it into a festival that's going to happen online, where young people are going to be given the platform to demonstrate what they've been working on. So are our challenges the same? No. We are very different because we are having a higher responsibility to uphold all the blood that was spilled. We have an eagerness and a commitment to actually transform our own environments. I think we need to stop whining and crying about people who are not giving us access, and we need to start giving access to ourselves. We need to stop making it about color, we need to stop making it about gender, and we need to stop making it about hate speech. If you hate your enemy, it will affect your judgment. Focus on yourself, introspect, and make changes. That's all I say.
Absolutely powerful. So no excuses as young people. And Tatabani, send us off. I mean, what would you like to say to young people?
Yeah, my last take, my request, Banabag, students, we are giving the baton to you. You are the generation who are going to give the baton to the next generation. If you fail, remember that the future is gone. So we are saying to you, focus, focus, focus. South Africa will be strong as long as you've got a better and good education. We fought for better education for you. We fought for your equal rights. Make sure that you don't falter. Make sure that you don't fight your teachers at school. Make sure that you don't fight amongst yourself. Remember that you are brothers and sisters.
Indeed.
And those teachers are your elders. So please, make sure that you respect them. Take it to home and study.
Study. Thank you, Tatabani. Thank you so much, Spusiso. I'm talking about the baton. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you very much for that, Jackie. Guys, we have to wrap it up quickly. Closing remarks. Sizwile Tua, we're carrying the baton forward. Putwa.
Thanks very much, Mko. Mine is very simple, is that as young people, in terms of championing the interest of this particular generation of 2020, we must look up to people like Ntate Pani, who took to the street and fought fire with fire. So as young people, to make sure that the clarion call that we want is being listened to, we are going to make it a point that we are declaring that all private schools must be nationalized.
All right. Fantastic. Great one. Thank you so much for that, guys. Well, Jax, it's time for us to wrap it up.
Absolutely. At an iconic place with an iconic individual and young people who are changing history as we see it. I think we want to say thank you very much for watching.
Guys, absolutely. Give yourself a round of applause, guys. Thanks you to the schools that have joined us. The Hector Pieterson Memorial Acre for hosting us. Mbugeli Lapika, thank you so much. And for your comments on all our social media platforms. From all of us at Expressions, thank you for watching.
Bye-bye. See you next time.